G'day everyone, welcome to the Flight of the Next podcast. I am here on Gadigal land in Sydney, as is Danny Avis, and Alex is in Te Whanganui Tara, Wellington. Welcome. We're here to chat about the last four men's games. So we have sort of been a little bit remiss in catching up with our reviews. So we'll have four games to review today. We're also going to have a chat about the awards night, and finally have a bit of a chat about the upcoming finals. So first of all, let us cover April 6th, Mariners away, 2-1 loss. Ben Old scored our goal. Bloody Michael Docher scoring in stoppage time right in front of us, I believe it was, unfortunately. We went to this game. Danny, how did you feel?
It was, thinking back, obviously this is a game that was probably the most important game of the season. We probably knew that at the time as well. We were missing Rufer at the time, so we were all a bit worried about how we would do. And unfortunately, it sort of panned out the way we probably thought it was. We didn't quite have that control in midfield. Central Coast, as we know, are a very good side. Even then, it came down to one moment, one missed tackle, one less foot in there, a last-minute goal by them, without which, obviously, we'd be sitting here as champions of the league. We're not, and it felt very disappointing at the time. Good crowd from the little corner, so a lot of fans there. Good match, all in all, I think. I don't think we played badly. We obviously were quite happy for a draw, but we looked fairly good, especially second half, going forward a little bit on the counter. But yeah, it wasn't quite enough, and Central Coast just pipped it. So very disappointing coming away from it. At the time, sort of thought that, yeah, okay, it's out of our hands now. Now we're just relying on hope rather than expectation to win the title.
It was a great turnout, and I think there was a sense amongst us that we really wanted to try and push the team to a win, because that was going to be the biggest game of the season. We managed to get to a draw until stoppage time. Docker not shut down quickly enough at the top of the box, and then unleashes a fantastic strike. It really was a beautiful goal, but it was crushing, and I think everyone sort of walked out of the stadium that night thinking that's the sliding doors moment, and it turned out it was really. If we had not conceded that goal, we'd have the plate right now. But it is what it is. Thanks to everyone who showed up and got behind the guys, because that meant a lot. It just didn't happen for us.
Completely crushing. I wasn't fully paying attention to the game. I was at my parents' 25th anniversary. I was kind of watching it on a screen some of the time. I was wandering around with my phone. I did see Ben Old's goal, and I went completely mad. It was probably the happiest I've been to see the Phoenix score a goal. It's a bit embarrassing. And then once we conceded that late goal, I was in my room with some of my friends, and it just completely killed the night for me. It's so disappointing to have everything we've worked towards in the season. But you know, second place, it's still our highest finish as a club for the men and for the women. I think it's a great achievement. Hopefully Chiefy can build on that next season. And the goal from outside the box, we never concede one of them. Is that the second we've conceded from outside the box? Because there's that one against Perth Glory. Absolute screamer. No one's saving that. I think it might be one of only two goals that we've conceded from outside the box. So it's really disappointing to have that happen in such a crucial game.
Yeah, I feel like Roofs wouldn't have let that shot get away, but that's football.
Yeah.
Straight
up,
that's football.
We should have been pressing a bit harder. I think he was, or Docker was kind of let a bit free, more freer than we were.
We had a little bit that all the way through the match where we were trying to press on them, and if we didn't get them in the first tackle, we got them in the second tackle. Unfortunately, the second tackle on this one just didn't happen. So Kraev was on him. He sort of got past Crave, who's a decent player. Crave was probably very tired as well. And then I think it was Finn Conchi had gone the other way to cover a run and couldn't get back in time. And I just gave him that extra second to get what was turned out to be a really good shot off. And it went in. It was one of those things where you see those shots and I just now expect Paulson to save it. So I was just expecting Paulson to get his hand to it and push it around the post. And when it went in, I was actually quite surprised, which I shouldn't be. It was a great shot. But yeah, you sort of feel Rufer would have closed that down somehow.
Yeah.
Speaking of Paulson, when Oldie scored that equaliser, because that happened quite late, 78th minute. It happened that the goal happened at the opposite end to us. Alex sprinted from his spot as keeper all the way over to the front of our bay and was like, fist pumping and wanting us to, up a bit. And it was really good to see that he wanted to celebrate with us. I thought that was really nice. Any other thoughts on the?
Alex gets super hyped whenever we score a goal. Even at Sky Stadium, we'll go and fist pump the air, pretty much for every single goal. And when he saves a penalty, it's the same down the other end. I remember David Ball did the same when he saved a penalty against, I can't remember who, maybe Perth Glory at home. But I think that's just the dedication and the passion for the sport really shining through.
Any final thoughts on the most important game of the season, or shall we move on? We'll move on.
Let's move on.
So we did come away with a more satisfying result on April the 12th. That was at home against Melbourne Victory. We had struggled with a couple of draws earlier in the season with Victory. We managed to get a win from a beautiful ball played in by Oscar van Hadem as a free kick, curled in, and, well, did it come off Finn Sermon? Did it come off the defender? Who cares? What a goal. What an incredible moment. Alex, I suppose you were there?
Yeah, I think that was one of the best atmospheres I've experienced at a football match. I think only superseded by the game the following week against Macarthur with 15,000 attendance, and there was only like 6,000 or so people at that game. I don't know how we managed to make all that noise. We were all kind of in the upper bits of the stadium because it was raining and no one wanted to get rained on, and I think that did have an impact on the attendance. Top of the table clash, you would expect more people to come, but whenever we play Melbourne Victory, it's such a hard slog, and usually it gets decided by a goal or just one crucial moment. It's gotten decided by that all the other times we've played them this season. And last few minutes, stoppage time, I think it was, Oscar van Hadem gets the ball or gets a free kick. He steps up to take it. I probably wouldn't have picked him to take it, but that's a perfect cross. Like as a defender who likes to get on headers in the box, like that's as good as you can ask for. And Sermon gets a good header on it as well. I think it's going in. I think you can give that to Sermon, even if officially it's counted as an own goal. If he didn't get the hit on it, it's not going in the back of the net. So I think he can take credit for that one. And the celebrations, you can just see the passion and how much it really means to the players.
Yeah, it looked like it would have been a great game to be at. Such a shame that the weather didn't stopped getting a bigger crowd there because it looked awful weather. But yeah, the noise came across on the TV certainly, and to have that goal in the last minute, yeah, would have been a lot of fun to be there. I imagine it was a lot of fun watching it, but yeah, that would have been great. It's sort of strange, the thinking back, the games that we were playing here, we had to win them basically to have any chance to keep the title, and obviously hope that the Central Coast stuffed up as well. And I think it might even have been more fun doing it that way, rather than if we'd have been top and had to win to go there, because there was only a chance of being disappointed then. If we'd have stuffed up and Central Coast won, we would have lost the title, if you like. Whereas I was sort of watching it going, I was a lot freer, I think, in terms of watching it. If we win, brilliant. But if we don't, well, we're second. We haven't lost anything because we were second before the start of the match. we're going to be second after the end of the match. So in a way, it was probably a more enjoyable watch. I think I didn't have that expectation. So we have to win. We have to win to stay on top, or else we've thrown it away. We're only achieving something if we're winning. So good match. Good match to watch. And good for Finn Sermon to score, because defenders, we haven't many goals from defenders this season.
Yeah, I think not many goals from corners is the thing. Only one, and that was Ben Old. Don't even know if you can count that from a corner. Goal of the season, though.
So, Newcastle away on April the 19th. That was a 1-1 draw. Costa scored there in the 71st minute. We had a good turnout again for the little corner of yellow, especially considering it was all the way in Newcastle, which is a lot longer to get to than Gosford. Great turnout. We had people flying up from Melbourne. Really, really good. The weather was pretty crap, but we managed to not get rained on because we always sit so far back. This was a Ryan Scott masterclass. The big talking point, I think, there's several big talking points. First of all, there was an extremely rare mistake by Alex Paulson to let in an own goal. I think this may be one of the few mistakes he's made all season. Then a tough game all the way through. Costa gets the goal, and then in stoppage time, the other Alex Rufer, gets a penalty. And I still think he was the right person to take it, but there was a huge delay between the penalty being called and the penalty being taken because the Jets player was injured. And Rufer, unfortunately, doesn't even get it on target. So a 1-1 draw. I think actually, if Alex had scored that, we still wouldn't have won the premiership anyway. So in a way, it's kind of moot. But honestly, I think we could have easily won this game if it wasn't for Ryan Scott, the Jets keeper, who was absolutely just incredible the entire game.
Yeah, no, horrible day for the Alexes. Felt a bit stink afterwards. And Ryan Scott with some amazing saves. It was a Sutton volley. Sutton's so good at long shots, by the way. I don't know how he does it. He always just stands outside of the box and smashes it whenever it comes to him. Very unlucky not to get that in. And there are a couple more. Costa at the post. Pretty much a free header for Costa for the goal. And Alex Rufer just inches away from scoring the winner.
Yeah, it was an interesting game because it was almost a game of two halves, to use the old cliche. The first half, we weren't particularly looking good going forward. They were getting a few chances, but our defence was really holding them out, apart from the one mistake from Poulsen. But the second half, Chiefy changed it up, I think, at half-time. Took off Salas and Altai, brought on Pennington and David Bull. And we immediately looked better. We immediately looked more compact and better going forward. And it's that thing of David Bull. It's very hard to say exactly what he does, except that he seems to make the team be better. Whatever he does, he makes us a better team, or it seems to be when he's on the pitch. And then we just battered them in a way that we haven't done many teams at all this season. We were just really all over them. Plenty of chances. But just unfortunately, Costa had last season's shooting boots on rather than this season's shooting boots. And he missed a few chances and headers, and Ben Holt did the same. We really should have had that game put to bed before the final minute penalty. Rufer took the last penalty and scored it, so I think he just gets to keep hold of it until he misses, which is actually what we saw. Yeah. Really disappointing that we didn't score the penalty and we didn't win it, but it would have actually changed things in the long run. But the second half performance was probably the best attacking performance we'd seen for quite a while, because we had that run of games where we were just doing all right and being good defensively and getting the odd goal, but we haven't really dominated a team for a while. And that second half performance, I think, ran into the next game, the Macarthur game, again, where we just looked pretty imperious going forward. So that was good to see. The result was a little bit disappointing, but we didn't lose, so that was the main thing.
Yeah, you're right. David Ball did pretty much changed the game when he came on. I think the same happened against the Victory at home. All those balls on the outside of the box, he just helps with that. And it is pretty hard to put your finger on what he does. That's a pretty good analogy. I had something else I was going to say. I've forgotten. You go, Holly. I'll remember.
I was just going to say, it was really a game of two halves in a lot of ways. When we, so the first half XG for us was 0.29, and the second half XG for us was 3.55. And saying that, there was the missed penalty, so you could take like a 0.8 off that. But really, the sheer influence that Ryan Scott had on the game was colossal. But yeah, Chiefy made some good subs, and I think taking off Salas and who's the other one? Did you say Altai? The subs he brought on were perfect for what we needed. It's just we had that last little moment at the end to clinch a win, and we didn't manage it as football.
Yeah. I just want to say, Alex Rufer, I think he's been the ultimate professional in his time at the Phoenix. He's the captain. He's such a good player. His influence on the field cannot be overstated. And I think a lot of players were kind of, or not players, a lot of fans were kind of dogging on him after the game in comments on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But he's been such a great player for us this season. And realistically, who else could have taken the penalty? Rufer, Costa, and Zavada are really the only players that could do that. Rufer's been taking the ball season. He's gotten them all in. Zavada, he's been a bit inconsistent. So is Costa. And I think they said this on the Yellow Fever podcast. Zavada actually hadn't touched the ball with his foot in that moment. He had two headers. And no touches with his foot. So it's a bit of a big asking a player who's just come back from a long injury to come back and score for his first touch to could score what could be a premiership deciding goal. So I think Alex Rufer was the right decision. I'm in the next group chat and everyone was saying Alex Rufer, surely Alex Rufer takes it. He's the only one I trust. And then, it's just unfortunate. I think it was a good penalty otherwise. I don't think Ryan Scott was saving it. It went the right way, but it was hard, just inches in it.
All right, we'll move on to the last game of the regular season. So that is on the weekend just gone. That's April the 27th. Macarthur at home, an absolutely dominant performance, really. 3-0 win. Costa, Payne, and Zavada. Great win, great crowd. The other game that we really wanted to go our way, which was the F3 derby, where we were hoping that the Jets would beat Mariners, which didn't eventuate, but it did make for a very funny moment situation in which Knicks fans were chanting for Newcastle and supporting Newcastle and had Newcastle scarves. That didn't work out in the end, but great win. And also there was the big family photo at the end, which I thought was really awesome. Thoughts on that match, Alex? You were there.
Yep. I mentioned the other game was an awesome atmosphere, one of the best atmospheres. This one was also one of the best atmospheres. 15,000 people. It was a good day for it. Plenty of walk up. Sales were looking really good, much better than the Waitangi day. We were tracking them, and a great performance. We've played really well against Macarthur this year. I hope we can play at least. I hope we can get them in the semi-final or even the grand final would be perfect because then we get it at home as well. And watching the game on your phone, there were multiple phones. There probably, I don't know how many there were amongst Yellow Fever. There was one in front of us, and there was probably someone in the little group we were in. I sat in a different spot this game, kind of with the Yellow Fever Foundation members. And during the second half, we weren't even watching the game, to be honest. We were just watching the Newcastle game because that was all that matters. We were up 2-0. We had the game in the bag. We were dominating pretty much. We were just fully focused on that Newcastle game, and it is a shame that they couldn't get it done.
I was at the match, my first home game in about 4 or 5 years, which was great to see. Great weekend in Wellington. The weather was nice, and I think that's the biggest crowd I've seen a Phoenix game at in Wellington. Maybe bigger in Auckland, but in Wellington biggest crowd I've seen the Phoenix play at. So yeah, excellent atmosphere. Yellow Fever Zone was pumping, and it was just a really enjoyable football match because we know we'll beat Macarthur. We just always seem to beat them, and we did that. We were all over them. We were 2 goals up. The game as a contest was basically over for us, so we could just enjoy it and, as you say, watch the Newcastle game or follow the results there, which didn't go our way. But yeah, that's sort of always fun when you hear people next to you cheering and you're not sure why because the ball's going out for throwing, and then you realise that Newcastle scored or Newcastle got a corner or however it was going. So yeah, look, really good fun, and I think the 2 games not being. It should have been obviously the 2 games being the last 2 games of the season simultaneously. I think that possibly helped us because if we'd have won 3-0 and then Central Coast beat Newcastle to actually take the title out, there would have been a real disappointment for everyone. But in fact, it was just a really good day out, and we won 3-0. The game was done and dusted quite easily, as they say. You didn't need to watch it too much. And it was a really good way to round off the season, I thought. And so everyone came away from that, I think, pretty happy. There was no sort of real disappointment because we hadn't won the league because it was still running until midweek. And then letting everyone go on the pitch again. Again, it wasn't just we've won. All right, now we go home. There was something else on it as well. So I thought it was a really good way to end the season. And hopefully a lot of those 15,000 the casuals, the ones who haven't been, the week before or maybe in the Waitangi day, they're going to go, look, this is fun. Let's get back to a match again next season. So I thought the club did that really well to bring all those things together to enable the supporters to celebrate the end of what is a really good season. All the players were down there on the pitch as well, just mingling with the crowds, which you wouldn't see in many other countries or possibly many other clubs here in the A League. But they were down there. They were clearly really excited and happy about what they've achieved, and they're just really happy to mingle with the fans. It was really good to see. It's lovely to see.
Yeah, the stream of kids pouring onto the field as soon as they opened the gates was just incredible too. I did not expect that many people to stay. I remember the last time they let us onto the field was just when they were replacing the grass, I think, and it was nowhere near that many people. Probably 2/3 of the stadium stayed, maybe even more. So that's 10,000 people on the field. It was great. It was completely packed. I couldn't even get in the photo because I was at the top of Yellow Fever and was too slow. It was too packed, and the photo it's an incredible photo as well. Getting that many people must have been quite hard to organise.
One of my favourite moments of this sort of unsupervised chaos that happened was some lads had a purple Tinky Winky Teletubby hat kind of thing that they took to Alex, and there's just this very joyous video of them handing that to him and him putting it on and just like laughing and taking photos. So that's really cool. That's cool to see. And you're right, there aren't actually. Maybe in some clubs you could get away with that in Australia, but I kind of imagine that a lot of places there's just no way they would let them on. So I think it's really nice that you had that. There was minimal security. I didn't see any cops. So it's great to have that kind of atmosphere at a club and that kind of culture. Any further thoughts
absolutely.
on...
Yeah, I just think it was just a really good way to round off a season, and it's been the best season we've ever had. So, yes, it's not over yet. There's still some stuff to come, but that was, a good way to end the regular season, and to get on the pitch, to feel the pitch, to see the penalty spot where Zawada had just scored from. Kraev was there with his very pregnant girlfriend. A lot of people congratulating her for keeping him here next season, which we assume he will, but you never know. Really good day out all round.
Cool. Did we want to move on to the end of season awards? Seeing as so they were held on Tuesday the 30th.
Yep, I can cover them. I've just got a list here. So, Fan of the Year, our very own Holly Eads. It's a great achievement. She does so much for the club and the away games. Herding everyone into the bays. I've seen plenty of supportive comments online, just highlighting everything she does. She's a great fan, a great person to have in the Wellington Phoenix space. Do you want to do we acceptance speech, Ollie?
I mean, they did. So they invited me to the dinner, but they never told me that I was going to get an award until it was like announced on social media. So they asked me, and I couldn't go. It was like a Tuesday, and I'm already going to the semi-final and things like that. And so it was a surprise. I just think, like, for me, none of what I do or can do is possible or would even be a fraction as enjoyable without all the other people that are part of that experience, particularly Dean. The amount of games I wouldn't get to without Dean, or just, it's the whole little corner of yellow. The next this podcast means a lot as well. Everybody who shows up, all of those things. So it's not possible without that. So thank you to the club and thank you to everyone who's congratulated me. But I must share that glory, that honour with everybody else that's part of that experience.
Great. We'll move on. So volunteers of the year, Christoph Zintel and Joe Todd. Doesn't mean anything to me. Academy staff member of the year, Chris Greenacre. He fought off interest from Auckland FC, so he showed his loyalty to the club. He's been here for ages, and not getting that head coaching job. He's been up for it a few times. I think he's been interim manager before. It just shows his loyalty to the club. He's stayed in that academy role, and he must be doing a good job. I don't really pay attention to the academy stuff, but to stay at a single club for that long, that's a great achievement. Staff member of the year, Brenton Van Nistelrooy. So he's like the head of media. He's Mark Cassin's boss. I don't think he does the posts, but it'll help, organize things. All the videos, all the promotional stuff. That's him. And then there's a few players of the year. So members players of the year, under 23 players and players of the year. So Macy and Alex Paulson, they rounded out the under 23 players of the year and the senior players of the year. So it's really great to see the emphasis that we've put on youth development. Anyone want to say anything about that or any of the previous awards?
So I do want to say congratulations to the volunteers. I didn't know many of them until I went to the 2 games at Porirua Park last month, the month before. They're amazing. The club does not function without them generally, and especially on match day. So massive shout out to them. And they did honour all of the volunteers who had been at the club for more than 10 years with the medals. So congratulations to them. Honestly, the club doesn't function, even though we don't necessarily, know their names.
Yep.
Yeah, I think in the players of the year, I don't think anyone's surprised that Macy Fraser and Alex Paulson would dominate those awards. There were definitely other options. Mike Barry, I think, will be up and thereabouts, and I think Alex Rufer probably is being underappreciated this season. Just really noticeable in the last Macarthur game. I don't know what it was. I've seen him play live a lot, but I've just really noticed him that game for some reason. Maybe it was just the angle we were watching it from, but the amount of pitch he covers and the amount of tackles he makes. And I was talking to someone who doesn't really go see a lot of football, and he was just like, Alex Rufer, he just wins every single ball. And it's like every time he loses it, he gets it back. And every time somebody else loses it, he gets it back as well. And it was just really good that, he's so obviously such an integral part of how we played. And, I think he would, if it wasn't for Paulson having a breakout debut season, I think Rufer would have been probably up there as player of the season.
Well, I mean, those were the fans' players of the season. I do think Rufer missed out massively, which is sad. Not that the other people didn't deserve it. But, Alex, if you want to continue.
Yeah, I voted for Rufer and Mac, as you said. I voted for Macy and Alex for the under 23 player, but I just thought Alex Rufer, he's done such a great job, so underappreciated. Can't be overstated, as I said before. Women's goal of the season, Macy Fraser, versus Western United. So I think that's the free kick, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the free kick, top bins, kind of across the goal. No keeper in the world saves that. Fantastic goal. That's also voted for by the members. I think I voted for a goal this season. I think I voted for our other goal against Perth. I kind of agree with Dale that free kicks shouldn't really be counted.
I
Anyway,
sort of agree as well. I prefer a
yeah,
good team goal to. I mean, free kicks are great, and it's obviously very dramatic. But we had a couple of goals, men's and women's, where the ball came all the way from defence and passed around a lot of people and went in. So I think there was the Mickey Robertson goal. Was that against? I think it was
Perth.
Melbourne City. Was it Perth?
No, it's Perth.
Came out from defence,
Yes.
and Cox put it into the centre, and Winham went past the man and put it through to Mickey Robertson. I just love that goal. It just looked really good. It covered the whole pitch, putting the ball into space, people running on and putting it through. To me, that's a little bit more exciting than a free kick, as good as Macy Fraser's free kick was.
Yeah. And men's goal of the season, Ben Olds versus Adelaide United. So that's the goal from the corner, or I don't even know if you can say it's from a corner, but just a great shot, cut a near post. I think the keeper saw it a bit late, but just a thumping shot. You didn't really expect that. Yellow Fever completely rose from their seats for that goal. Golden Boots, Mariana Spekmaier and Costa Barbarouses with 10 and 13 goals each. And then they're also the media players of the year. So I think they probably get all the media to vote on it, on who they like. Any comments about that?
So apparently Mariana, for accepting one of her, it might have been the Golden Boot. Apparently she got up there and she said, "I want to come back and score more goals." So hopefully that's a sign that she wants to re-sign, and that we will re-sign her, because she'd be great to have back, as we discussed in our season review. So maybe that's a good little sign.
Okay, continuing. Academy Players of the Year, Alec McMillan for the women and Lucas Kelly-Heald for the men. Lucas obviously putting in a great shift. He looks like he belongs at this level, and has played there for ages. There's still a few chinks to iron out in his game. Kind of in the air airily. I don't think he's the best. It's something to work on. But going forward, he's got a good cross on him. He's on corners as well, which is a bit interesting. And Ella McMillan, I don't think she's played very much this season. I don't remember. Any comments about that?
I think Kelly-Heald is better than he looks, which is a strange thing to say, but he doesn't look very neat. He doesn't look very graceful, but he's actually a really good player. And his tackling and his defensive qualities for someone who's in his first season was really good. And even going forward, he's been quite good. It's been a really good battle between him and Sutts for the left back spot, and I think Kelly-Heald had it for the first half of the season. Sutton seemed to get it for the back end of the season. I think that's probably about right, but I think he's really pushed Sutton to up his game, and just I think Sutton's shooting and forward play has probably just given him the slight edge over Kelly-Heald. But Kelly-Heald's straight out of the academy, so what a great season he's had to get the amount of minutes he's had and to push what was our first choice left back all the way. So deserved for him. Well deserved.
I think it's our longest contract ever as well. What is it, like 4 years? Something like that. He's got massive contract. Hopefully we can get a fee for him at some point. But he is bloody massive. He's like, I think he's 200 centimeters tall. It's kind of hard to be graceful when you're that tall. Like I'm 6'2", and even I struggle. That's probably just me. But I can't imagine what it would be like being. How tall is that? 6'7", 6? I don't know. Too tall.
We got some photos with him after the game on the weekend on the pitch. The photo's just comical because we can't even reach his shoulders to get our arm around him. So he looks ungainly. But just I think when a player thinks they've gone round him, his foot sort of reaches out and just taps the ball away. So it's a good secret weapon.
Yep. So Women's Player of the Year. So I think that's probably voted by the players. This is who I voted for, Mackenzie Barry. Great season from her, obviously reaching 50 appearances, captaining the club in her last game. She's mentioned she's kind of built on those leadership skills a lot in recent years. She says she's naturally quite a shy person, and to captain the team, she's really grown into the environment, worked on her leadership skills, works in being loud on the field, and she's just an amazing player, complete brick wall in that defence. And she's probably our only centre back that didn't get injured too. No offence to the players that did get injured. Next, I've lost the tab. There we are. So men's player of the year, Alex Paulson, and then Spark and Oppo women's player of the year, Mackenzie Barry. So those are the sponsors. I guess they voted Mac as the player of the year, and AP getting the men's player of the year. First season into the first team. He's been amazing. Like I said, with Kelly Heald, looks like he belonged there, or looks like he's been playing there for ages. And then sponsors men's player of the year is Costa Barbarousis, Golden Boot, obviously. Any comments about them?
I really was hoping that Alex Rufer was going to be player of the year. It's probably fair that Costa was player of the year, having scored so many goals. But yeah, I look at both of them deserve it. So yeah, it's just a pity that he sort of missed out entirely, because I think he's been probably our player of the year.
Yeah, I agree. And then there's one more, the Lloyd Morrison Spirit of the Phoenix Award. That's David Domes, the CEO. Not sure who gave that to him. Hope it wasn't himself. But
I'm assuming that the board decides that, or
yeah,
I mean, maybe it's Rob Morrison that decides that. I know Lily Oldfield got it last year, I believe.
That's who I was thinking Alex Rufer. But
so it's pretty open, I guess, within the club environment who gets it. But Domi is a huge part of the reason that we have been so successful. He's been there for quite a long time, building up teams, getting them through COVID and things like that. And one of the things I really love about Domi is he'll have a chat with anyone. Like he'll go to the pub with you after a match. You can ask him about whatever about the club, and he's very upfront, very approachable, and I think that's very different from a lot of the club leadership across the league, and probably overseas as well. So we love you for a reason, Domi. Keep it up.
Yeah, he's really well spoken as well. I've listened to him on the Yellow Fever podcast a few times. It'd be great to get him on here. He always answers your questions. You could probably ask him anything and he'd give you an answer. He's not like those media trained players over in Europe that just don't really say anything. They just repeat the question. His answers are great when you're talking to him, and obviously he runs the club so well. I think getting into CIS.
Sorry, we've had him a couple of times, but it's been quite a while.
Yeah, no, it'd be good to get him on again. Getting us into TIS, sorting out that Porirua Park stuff. Obviously, there's heaps more off the field that goes into the teams. We just watch the games every week, but he goes to work. He's in an office. There's so much stuff in the back end that goes into the club, and I think it's really underappreciated.
I like the way he's just very honest as well, as you say. When he talks, he doesn't just give the media spiel or the line. He'll tell you exactly what the situation is. And if that's unflattering, then it's unflattering. And if it's flattering, it's flattering. He doesn't blow smoke up anybody's arse. He just tells you exactly how it is, which I think is really reassuring. And it shows you that he treats the fans, as equals, basically, or it gives us a bit of respect that, we can handle the realities of the real world rather than just saying everything's going to be great, everything's wonderful, everything's great. That's not true, and we know that's not reality. And he doesn't put that. Doesn't say that. Where he could do it. Many CEOs would do that with their PR department behind him. But he tells you what the reality is, and that gives you a much better idea of the challenges and what's actually happening at the club, which we obviously like as fans.
Yep. So that's all the awards. Holly, do you want to just preview the final series for us?
Uh, First of all, just there's two awards that have been announced that are of relevance by the league. So Fans Player of the Year for the entire league, for the Liberty A League, that is. That was Mariana Speckmeyer, which is great and well deserved, and possibly an indication of just like how active Knicks fans are at voting. Because she's been a great player. She might not have been the best player in the whole league necessarily, but it's a popularity contest, and Knicks fans are really good. And honestly, I think there also would have been a lot of non-Knicks fans who would have been willing to vote for her as well. So congrats to Mariana for that. Save of the season for the dub was also announced. It was that absolutely cracking save by Bree Edwards against Newcastle Jets. Dean and I went to that game. Honestly, I thought that ball was going in. My brain didn't quite compute that she'd gotten to that incredible save. I think even who was it? Bolden couldn't believe it didn't go in either. So congratulations to Bree. That's well earned. I think she was robbed last year. Last year she was robbed. This year she got it, and rightly so. What a legend.
Yep. And with such little game time as well, she wasn't our first choice goalkeeper. Well, they say that we had two first choices, but she wasn't our first choice. She was on the bench most games, or not in the team at all. And to get save of the season, she made an impact every game she played, especially that penalty save as well. I actually voted for Amy's goal or Amy's save because I thought it would be funny if she got the save of the season, only playing 10 minutes. But massive credit to Brie, obviously. It's a great save.
She also has maybe one of the best sort of unscripted off-field moments of the season from the dub team, which was when she was talking about this moment of going on to the field when Riley was sent off to save the penalty, and she dropped a swear word in the interview and looked so horrified. It was very adorable. So you're a real character, Brie. We'll hope you stick around, or at least that we see you around.
Yeah. Anything else?
All right. So shall we preview finals? It's really hard to preview finals because we don't actually know who will be playing. Obviously, we have the finishing in the end was first Mariners, second us, third Victory, fourth Sydney, fifth Macarthur, sixth City. So the elimination final is a Melbourne derby, 3 versus 6. So that's Victory versus City, and then Sydney versus Macarthur. So the lowest rank of those matches will play Mariners, and the highest rank of those matches will play us. So it's really hard to know at this point. I'm hoping that I don't know what I'm hoping. Every now and then I'm thinking like, okay, I just want someone to win that can beat Mariners in the semis. And then I'm like, okay, no, we'd rather play we don't want to play Sydney because they have a high press. And then it's like, but we don't want to play at Amy Park because we're terrible at Amy Park. And I don't know. But how exciting. Thoughts?
Yeah.
My ideal scenario is City beat Victory. So then Mariners have to play City and go to Amy Park. Macarthur beat Sydney. We play Macarthur because we've beaten them 3 times this season already, so we should beat them again. And then we want City to beat Mariners, so we get a home grand final, which would then be against Melbourne City, which I don't want Melbourne City to get to the grand final because it'd be totally undeserved because they've been pretty hopeless this season. But that's probably the closest route for us to get to a home grand final. It's probably also the least likely route that's going to happen because Victory are probably going to beat City and we will end up playing Victory, which means we have to go down to Amy Park, and that's going to be tough because if we let more than a couple of goals in, they'll be very hard to overcome that at home. I'm not saying we can't do it, but that will be a tough one. And playing Sydney, again, don't want to do it. So,
Yeah, I think my ideal scenario is Sydney beat Macarthur, so then they go to Central Coast, or it's two legs. So then they play Central Coast in the semi final, and Victory beat Melbourne City, so we play Victory in the semi finals. I think Sydney have the edge over the Mariners this season, winning all three games, or maybe it being unbeaten. I'm not sure. So I think that is the highest chance we've got of the Mariners getting knocked out. I don't think City can do it, or maybe they'd have one of those games where they smash them 10-0. But, you just don't really know what's going to happen. And against Victory, that's a heavy ask for the team as well. It's a complete slog. The team has to be focused the entire game. The previous times we've met, I think we do edge out on top in the head-to-heads. 2 draws, 1 win for us, but they've all been decided on key moments. Sometimes mistakes, sometimes moments of glory, penalty for Alex Rufer, that kind of weird deflection that they scored against us at home the second time we played them. I just don't really think we can win in every scenario. So, we'll just watch the elimination finals and we'll take it how it comes.
Well, thanks for joining us. I did, as one last note, want to say shout out to the Fever FM podcast. You guys are great. You are absolutely top of my listening every week. It was mentioned, among many, many nice things, that we were a rival pod to the Fever FM. I don't think we're rival pods. I think we should be friend pods. We love you guys. Let's be friends. All right. Thank you. We will be back again to talk about more results. Everybody stay calm, get psyched slowly for the finals. Don't take it too crazy. What a season we're having. Let's get into it. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Bye.